Greetings and welcome everybody. Welcome to a wonderful another session at the School Leadership Summit. This session is focused on digital citizenship, and my name is Kelly Mendoza. I work with Common Sense Media and I manage the professional development program and do a lot of webinars. So thanks for joining today. I just love seeing everybody and where you're from, and it's just so convenient. So the title of my session is Making the World a Better Place, Digital Citizenship Resources for K-12. That's what we'll be focused on today. Just for a little housekeeping issues regarding your audio, we won't be, I don't think we're going to open up audio for you privileges. So if you have any questions or comments, please put them in the chat box because you all have chatting privileges. If you want to view the profile of someone else, hover over their name in the participants window so you can find out more about them. You might find it easier to read the chat if you detach the chat box. There's a drop-down menu on the upper right where you can do that. And then if you're on Twitter, please use the hashtag TCALSLS14. So let's go ahead and get started. And I may shut down my video in a second. I just wanted to say hello. Okay, good. The recording is started. Yes. Of course, we want to thank all the sponsors for this conference: TCAL, Learning Revolution, Blackboard Collaborate, and others. Thank you, thank you. And this is kind of fun. So let me give you the whiteboard permissions, and hopefully, okay. So you all have whiteboard permissions now, which means that you should see a little bar on the left of to the left of the slide, and you can pick out the second one down. It looks like a star or a sun. So go ahead and select that, and you can. I'd like you to point to where you're joining from today, so we can kind of get a sense. Okay, I'm going to add mine there too. Oh, hello, hello. And we have India too. And we have, excellent. So thank you for doing that. It's always a fun way to see where everybody's located. All right. Now I'm going to disable your whiteboard permissions. All right, we'll keep moving forward. Okay, so I think I'm going to turn my video off just for bandwidth issues and so you can focus on the slides. So let me do that really quick. All right, so we're going to be talking about digital citizenship resources for K-12 by Common Sense Media. Like I said, if you have any questions, please feel free to put it in the chat box. I'll try to pay attention to chat. I can't guarantee that I'll be able to multitask it that well, but if you have questions, we'll have time towards the end, and I'll try to pay attention during the session. And let me detach the panel so it's a little bit bigger for me. So just one sec. Okay. All right. So Common Sense Media. So I mentioned I'm Kelly Mendoza from Common Sense Media. I manage professional development. We are a nonprofit organization. We're based in San Francisco in California. But we have offices all around the country, and we're dedicated to improving the lives of kids and families by providing the trustworthy information, education, and independent voice for kids to thrive in a world of media and technology. And we do three things. We rate. So if you work with parents, if you are a parent, we provide ratings and reviews of kids' media titles, books, websites, games, apps, movies, music, you name it, we rate it. Parents want to know, whether media is good for their kids, whether there's things they should be concerned about or be aware of. They want to know how to really harness the learning potential of media for their kids. And so our reviews are written by parents from a parent perspective and from a developmental perspective. Great resource for parents. We have an app that parents can use on the go. Say if they're at the movie theater and they're wondering about a movie that their child wants to see, they can use the app. So. We also offer ratings and reviews on for teachers on apps, websites, and games, and I'll introduce that in a minute. We do advocacy work on behalf of children and media. in Washington in particular, but we work with lawmakers and policymakers on laws and policies that really help kids thrive in a world of media and technology. This year, we are focused on student privacy. It's a huge issue, and that would mean keeping students' information, schools and districts keeping student information private and protecting it. So we're focused on that this year. And then educate. So we have several education programs that provide, they're complementary programs, which means they can be used together to help students harness the power of technology for learning and life. And that's what we'll be focused on today. And I'll actually cover all of the education programs at the end, but let's dive into digital citizenship. So, you know, we know that kids increasingly have access to digital technologies at home and at school. And I think we could all agree that technology has a promise for learning and communicating and sharing, and we want kids to get the most out of media and technology at school and at home. But the issue is, you know, behavioral issues and also information literacy issues. So kids aren't always aware of the consequences of their actions in the digital world. They're developing and they're learning social norms, you know, they're learning skills. And, you know, there's also an information literacy piece to the issue too. You know, kids can often be duped by misinformation online. Their research skills need to be really strong in an age where they can access any kind of information. So all of that falls under digital citizenship. Here are just some statistics on the key issues. We know that kids spend a lot of their waking hours with media in front of a screen. The 7.5 hours a day for kids is from the Kaiser Family Foundation. That statistic was from 2010. I'm guessing it's actually higher if we were to do the same study today. But, you know, kids spend a lot of their time with media, and this statistic, by the way, is time spent outside of school. Outside of school. So think about, you know, when kids wake up and when they come home from school or watching TV or doing homework on their tablet or computer, you know, it's a lot of their lives. And so we want them to get the most out of that and the best. We also have issues around privacy. So let me do my little arrow here. Let me see if I can do an arrow. I'll do a pointer. So in this statistic, 41% of kids age 8 through 17 leave their Facebook privacy settings on default. Now, for one thing, we know that kids are moving away from Facebook altogether, but also the default setting means it's the lowest privacy. It's the lowest amount of privacy. So a lot of kids do know how to customize their privacy settings, but I think it means parents and teachers have to really get involved and have kids show them and make sure that they're definitely keeping their information private and secure. Another issue down here is regarding a kid's digital footprint. We know that increasingly college admissions officers are Googling candidates and making decisions on what they see. In this statistic from Kaplan, they do a yearly survey of college admissions officers. They found that, I think this is from last year, 35% have found something online about an applicant that negatively impacted their application. So that speaks to the issue of creating a positive digital footprint that kids are proud of being really careful and aware of what they share online and how they interact. And then finally, how kids are relating to each other and what kind of communities they're participating in, how they're participating in with others online. So we know that the Pew Internet and American Life Foundation, in their sort of meta-analysis of cyberbullying research, found that 1 in 3 10 to 18-year-olds have reported being cyberbullied. That's a really high percentage. Now, just a note about this particular stat. You know, cyberbullying is defined in a lot of different ways, so we have to take that into account. But we all can think of a really horrible example of cyberbullying. And so it's our responsibility as teachers and as parents and as school leaders to really create positive, safe environments for our kids to be participating in, for our students to be participating in. So just a little background. Obviously, we need digital citizenship. And for us at Common Sense Media, digital citizen means that if a student knows how to harness the power of technology safely, respectfully, and responsibly, and it encompasses all these different behaviors, you know, from avoiding risky situations online, avoiding risky talk, thinking before you self-reveal, right? I'm sure you can think of an example where somebody shared something and had negative repercussions online. So really thinking critically about what we reveal about ourselves online and how we participate. Protecting our privacy and cultivating a positive digital footprint, I mentioned before. Communicating respectfully and building community. And then there's all a whole host of information literacy skills down here, which I think sometimes people forget are part of digital citizenship, like evaluating website credibility, searching effectively, respecting copyright and plagiarism. Those skills, those information literacy skills, also fall under digital citizenship. So Shalaja, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name right, how do we monitor? You know, I'm not going to get into monitoring so much because that's sort of a whole different area. I think, you know, for us, we take the perspective of schools integrating technology should be doing preventative education around digital citizenship to prevent negative situations from happening, and also to create a positive culture in their school and expectations around technology use. So although schools do have, oftentimes schools do have device management, MDM and device management monitoring, that's less of what I'll be focusing on today, because I think the premise is we try to build those skills within students themselves so that they self-regulate and that they see the value in participating, you know, as a digital citizen. So let's keep moving forward, and I hope that helps a little bit to your question. So what can you do to help the kids be safe, smart, and responsible participants in a digital world? So I'll be introducing our resources. I think one of the first things is it's really important for any school or district or, you know, community to take that community approach. So we often think about students, and we do think about parents oftentimes, and the teachers teaching the students, but this is kind of just, it's the pieces of the puzzle. Administrators and leaders have to be involved. You know, we all have to work together, and that's why we try to provide resources for all these stakeholders. But today I'm going to focus mostly on students and curriculum for teachers to then teach students these skills with accompanying parent resources. I think it's really up to leaders to provide professional development for their teachers, to get their school community on board to help build this culture in our school. And so I'll be sharing with you our digital literacy and citizenship curriculum and providing an overview, and if we have time, I'll do a little web tour of our website. But, you know, if you're a teacher, hopefully this will be helpful to you. The curriculum's K-12. It's comprehensive in that it covers a variety of digital citizenship topics, not just cyberbullying or not just digital footprint. It's really covers the information literacy skills. The lessons are about 45 minutes. You know, we see people use these lessons in all sorts of ways, from taking the main activity out and doing it in a 20-minute advisory session to really extending the lessons. So it's very adaptable. We take a balanced tone and a balanced approach to this issue, so we don't really do a lot of fear-mongering around you know, the dangers of the internet or digital media. I don't think it makes sense for anybody, and it's not the kind of approach that resonates with students or for teachers for that matter. So we talk about the risks in an authentic way, but also recognize the opportunities. There's wonderful student videos, there's assessments, and best of all, it's free thanks to our funders, MacArthur, Hewlett, and Sherwood Foundations. The curriculum is research-based. We work with the Good Play Project and Howard Gardner at Harvard to develop the framework for the curriculum. They did a lot of research on young people and digital ethics, and found that young people were falling into these ethical fault lines. And so we based our topics in the framework on those ethical fault lines and worked with them to pilot some lessons. Standards, really, really key, especially with Common Core, as we have field testing going on right now. But it is aligned to Common Core, and you can teach digital citizenship, and you're meeting Common Core standards. That's what's awesome about it. It's ELA Common Core, a lot of speaking and listening skills, writing, reading for information, those kinds of skills. If you use ISTE, you may be familiar with their Standard 5 for students is all about digital citizenship. But beyond that, we actually meet a lot of ISTE standards. It's really great fit if that's relevant to you, and then AASL as well. So here are the categories for the curriculum. Now, I mentioned before it's comprehensive, so you'll see 8 categories here, ranging from the sort of behavioral issues around, relationships and communication, cyberbullying, our digital footprint, and our reputation, but also those information literacy skills and the copyright and creative credit type skills as well. Now, if you were to do the entire curriculum, it's 65 lessons, and it's 5 lessons per grade level per year. We're hoping that that's doable for a lot of schools, but we know that everybody's pressed for time and there are priorities. So if you were to do the entire thing, each unit, so this would be kindergarten, grade 1, grade 2, each of those units is 5 lessons per year. And the topics build upon each other from grade level to grade level. However, we have had districts create their own scope and sequence. So we just actually had a different webinar on EdWeb, which is we have a digital citizenship community on EdWeb. And we did a webinar with a district who put together their own scope and sequence, primarily for CIPA compliance, which is you basically have to educate students and have policies around internet safety and appropriate use. And that's related to E-rate funding. So anyway, they put together their own scope and sequence and then ran it by their own lawyers to make sure that they were meeting those requirements. But I guess my point is that you can cherry pick lessons and put together your own scope and sequence. But 5 lessons a year is the full one. Now, if you have iPads, you may be happy to know that our curriculum is available as iBooks, and it's free, and I love it. It's awesome. But we also have our the main way to access it, which is online as printable PDFs. And the reason why it's designed as printable PDFs is so that anybody, regardless of if you have technology in your classroom or not, anybody can teach these lessons. It really comes down to teaching about ethics, and there are ways to teach about technology without having technology in the room, and so this is a prime example. So I'll talk about the features of the iBooks in a minute. In terms of the printable lessons, and I'm just showing you screenshots of our website. This is all available, and let me put it in the chat, commonscience.org/educators. And you can access everything once you've registered on our site. And if you register, you have the opportunity to get newsletters and other helpful information, but it also allows you to download everything. So this is an example of a printable lesson. You'll see the lesson, you can download everything here, but we do have everything online on HTML version. So with each lesson, and I'll show you the scope and sequence page in a little bit, but each lesson has an essential question, which is really what you're focused on exploring. So this is a K-2 lesson on digital footprints. Now, a lot of people think, they don't think about teaching about digital footprints until middle or high school. You should be starting to teach at this very early age. And the thing is kids get it. There are ways to teach really young kids about these more complicated concepts like cyberbullying or digital footprint that we associate with older students. it needs to start earlier, and so we offer lessons on this. This is a great lesson, by the way. So they're looking at digital footprints, and then you'll see there's the learning objectives, and I'm just sort of scrolling down. It'll tell you how to prep for the lesson, the teaching plans, and these are actually, when you click into these, each of these, they will expand. Now this is just a screenshot, but they'll expand with the actual teaching plan. Here's the standard alignment. You can see all the Common Core and HD standards. And a lot of our lessons have videos associated with them, whether it's a video for students to watch or whether it's a video of the lesson being taught. Now in this case, we have, for teachers teaching a lesson, they can watch this video here of the lesson in action and see what it looks like in a classroom. And that's been really helpful for teachers just to visualize themselves doing it, and then also get ideas for teaching strategies, or, you know, it's just helpful to see other teachers teaching. And then each of our lessons has family resources, and that's a tip sheet that can be distributed to parents. It can be printed out and literally parents can take it home. It can be put on your website. All of our curriculum is Creative Commons. You can post it and use it however you want, as long as you provide us credit and hopefully a link back as well. So this is an example of a printed lesson PDF. It's just in a little bit different format. A lot of teachers still like to have the PDF, or they take the PDFs and they upload them into Google Docs or into other formats. Let me go forward. This is and in the PDF, you'll get all of the student handouts as well. So in this lesson, students are actually looking at the digital footprints of Mendoza mouse, and they're cutting out, actually you would cut these squares out and mix them up, and students are playing detective. So Mendoza the mouse or Electra the elephant. So they're really investigating who has a bigger digital footprint in groups, and finding evidence to support their thinking and making a decision as a group. Here's the handout that they fill out, and here's the questions that they ask, and then they present their answer, and they talk about the evidence that they found. It's really a great starter lesson on digital footprint. So I mentioned lesson and unit assessments. We do have assessments available at the lesson level. It's usually a 3-question quiz, and it's available as in the PDF download of the lesson, or in the iBooks. It's available in the iBooks. But we also have unit level assessments. So if you are doing the 5 lessons a year, the unit level assessment will tell you overall as over the unit, how did students do. And some schools use this as a pre-post, some use it as a post-test only. But the unit level assessments are interactive, which means that regardless of if you're using the iBook version or the online PDF version, you can have students go on our website and take the assessment, and then the results are emailed to you as a report. I mentioned family resources. We do have a family education program. I'm not going to be delving into that here, but each of our lessons has a family tip sheet on what is the topic being taught in the lesson. Now this is where we're really trying to make the homeschool connection with these topics and inform and educate parents. So if, for instance, a student is learning about respecting creative work and copyright and providing citations, then the parent can read about that issue as well and hopefully further the learning at home. There are tips, and there's even conversation starters that parents can use with their kids around the issues. I mentioned the lesson in action videos, really helpful. It's not for all of our lessons, unfortunately. That would be great if we had 65 videos of all the teachers teaching, but with some of the lessons you can see what it looks like in the classroom. Now a lot of people wonder, well, where do I integrate, or where are we teaching digital citizenship? If you want to put that in the chat box, if you're doing digital citizenship, you can explain a little bit about where you're implementing it or who does it. I think we see it in a lot of different ways. I think one of the most successful ways, if we're talking about what works better and what doesn't work better is when it's integrated into the curriculum. So we're seeing English teachers, okay, so Jan is saying she embeds it into every subject. That's really where we're seeing the most success because, and across the year, great. Because it can be embedded into English, technology, social studies. We even have math and science teachers who find ways to integrate digital citizenship into their teaching. And rather than, you know, the standalone subject or the, you know, and it's fine, health and wellness classes oftentimes cover topics regarding, you know, I don't know, safety topics. But the issue is it's seen as a standalone, and digital citizenship is about communication, collaboration, creativity. It really makes sense to partner it with and integrate it into your curriculum. Some schools are looking at E-rate, fulfilling E-rate requirements on SIPA I mentioned earlier, and I think that's fine too. But I think the more people on board and the more it's understood about the value across the school, the better, and the easier it is to make that home-school connection rather than the one lone teacher trying to teach everything. Okay, I mentioned iBooks. So if anybody has iPads in here, you can download our curriculum as iBook textbooks. And it's a little bit different, but in that it's more interactive, obviously, than the PDF. And everything is paperless, so students can submit all their work to you paperlessly as long as you have a Wi-Fi connection. So with each of those, you'll see two sets. You'll see the teacher edition of, and these are divided by our grade levels, and the student edition, the student workbook that accompanies it. So the textbooks, it's still a teacher-led, a teacher-driven taught curriculum, but there are pieces that students could do on their own. For instance, all of our lesson videos, whereas before it was available on our website for teachers, students now have all of those videos in their books, and they can watch them themselves, and they can watch them over and over. So there are some sort of blended opportunities to say, you know, have the students watch the video at home and come back and discuss in class, or, you know, have them work in small groups on things. So I would encourage you to check that out if you have iPads. Again, it's free. And just a couple information about the features. So for teachers, the lessons, you can literally teach from the palm of your iPad, the palm of your hand, and everything is listed out for you. We have the same information, it's just in an iBook, an interactive iBook format. So the student assessments, there's all of the work, anything that a student is seeing, you'll see too as a teacher. And then there's, of course, the lesson plan around it. There's also embedded professional development. So thank you all for attending. You're doing professional development right now. Woohoo, it's great. But there's additional information in the iBooks that's not available on our website. It's new information that we added, like research and background on the topics, teaching tips around the topics. The lesson and action videos, which are on our website, are also in there. So we've really tried to provide a lot of information and scaffolding for teachers to understand the topics and to be able to teach them confidently. And that's what's a little bit different about it. Then we also have a lot of other information in the iBook. So I encourage you to check that out. With the student workbook, we have the lesson activities, which are PDF-based, have been designed into interactive iBook activities. So for instance, let me see, I don't know what this one does, but in this, on the bottom right, you'll see an example of a drag and drop activity where students are dragging and dropping, and I'm drawing lines here to sort of simulate that, their answers into this is a rings of responsibility lesson. So it uses all those great features of iBooks and tablets and incorporates them into the lesson activities, and which are called widgets in iBooks, if anybody's familiar. And then there's other cool features, like there's popovers, which means that you tap your finger on a vocabulary term and you'll get the definition instantly where it appears. The assessments are interactive, and again, the ability to basically at the end of each lesson, students have the ability to email work to you. So super excited about that. All right, so I'm going to see if this will work, because I don't recall having done this before, but I want to take you on a web tour of the curriculum so you can just get a little bit familiar with it. So let's see if this works. Okay, so this is the site that I'm visiting, commonsense.org. Educators, great. I'm actually logged in, which is super cool. And if you go to our website, most of what you'll see on this top header is for parents, and all of the education resources is under the Educators tab. And it's looking a little bit, the headers are looking a little bit off to me, but that's okay. So we're going to go to Digital Citizenship with all the digital citizenship resources. Not an easy word to say. And you'll see that here you can download the iBooks, and what this will take you to is iTunes. We have a page on iTunes with other resources as well. So you can go download them there, and this will take you to the printable curriculum here. And also, this is our suite of videos on digital citizenship. And then I'll try to expand this window. Hold on a minute. Okay. And then we also have additional resources that I do want to point out. One is the interactive unit assessments. These are also linked from the scope and sequence, which I'll show you in a minute. Digital passport, I'm going to explain what that is in a minute. If anybody teach elementary in here, got to check out Digital Passport. It's basically a web-based interactive fun games and videos for your 3rd through 5th graders. It complements the curriculum. It doesn't replace it necessarily, and it doesn't repeat it necessarily either. So it's a great complementary resource. We have really fun posters that you can download and print out. You can even purchase big ones for your classroom. And curriculum toolkits. Let me just go to the toolkits, because I think sometimes it gets a little bit buried. But what you'll see is that we have a toolkit on E-rate, on cyberbullying, and gender and digital life, which is a topic that we're focused on organization-wide, is gender and media and kids. So those are basically collections of lessons from the larger curriculum, but then there's additional resources in these toolkits that you may find helpful. So let me go back actually to, I think, okay, good. I just want to show you the scope and sequence. So if I go to printable curriculum, and if this is appearing a little bit weird to me, but you get the idea. Here's the scope and sequence, and what you can do is basically you can find lessons in a few ways. One is clicking on the topic that you're interested in, and all of the lessons will pop out on that topic. So cyberbullying, for instance. I just clicked on cyberbullying, and this is an issue that we do have one lesson in elementary, but as kids move up and get older, you can see all of the lessons tagged with the icon cyberbullying will pop up. So that's one way to search for lessons. But there's also a way that over here you can jump to the grade band. So say I want to go to middle school, it will just, let me undo cyberbullying. It will take me to middle school. And here you can see those scope and sequence laid out. I mentioned earlier that we have 5 lessons per year, per grade level. And so you can see how we've laid it out. Now, again, I mentioned that people do this, and people create their own scope and sequences, and I think that's great. You really have to customize what your school or district needs and what sort of topic areas you want to cover. But if you were to do everything, this is all laid out for you. So let me go back to, let's see, let's go into this one, cyberbullying, be upstanding. I'm just clicking right into the lesson here. So this will take you directly to the lesson. Again, this is the essential question here. How do you judge the intentions and impact of people's words and actions online? You can download the lesson materials, and then there's additional resources on the right. I forgot to mention the lesson handouts are available in Spanish for students. So if you have Spanish-speaking students, the student handouts are available in Spanish. And this is what I was showing you screenshots of earlier, but you can basically click on this and it'll pop open the teaching plans, the lesson plan. So you can do it that way. Some teachers like to actually teach right from the online version, but also you can download lesson materials, and what you'll see here is the PDF version. I'm not sure. There we go. So this is everything that you're seeing online, but it includes the student handouts and the assessments. So I'm just sort of scrolling through here. Hopefully it's not looking choppy to you or anything. But this is the lesson plan. And then if I scroll down through the lesson plan and further, there's additional activities, an extension activity or an at-home activity. And here's the student handout. So in this case, students are reading a scenario and they're working in groups to answer the questions about who's playing different roles in a cyberbullying situation. Who are the bystanders? And a lot of our lessons are collaborative. Students are working in partners or groups to really discuss these complicated issues. They have a tip at the end, and then here's the lesson level assessment. So it's a 3-question quiz that students can fill out to gauge their understanding. And then there's your answer key for that lesson level assessment. So I do want to mention about the PDFs. We have, if you are looking to go paperless or not print these out, we have schools use the PDF annotator to have students fill these out. And then if your school uses Edmodo, for instance, I've heard of teachers, having the students fill out the PDF with the annotator, saving it, and then submitting through Edmodo or your LMS, however you want to do it. But there are ways to sort of tech up the low-tech version of the curriculum. And then if you really want to go high-tech, look to the iBooks, because that's kind of the ultimate version. So let me go back here out of the PDF. All right, so that just gives you a sense of how everything is laid out. I hope that's helpful. I actually want to go back to the slideshow right now. Okay, great. So I encourage you to register, and again, if you register as an educator, you will be able to download everything at no cost to you. I mentioned before Digital Passport. I'm not going to do a web tour of this, but if you are, Jan is asking whether the ebooks will be in Android. Not anytime soon, but we're looking into it right now. So check back with us, and we're hoping, keep our fingers crossed. But we just launched last month, so hopefully we can get funding to put it. I would love to be able to do Android with that. Okay, so Tony loves Digital Passport. All right, awesome. So Digital Passport is, and here's the website, digitalpassport.org. You can also get to it from our website. It's an immersive, interactive, it's a web-based game for 3rd through 5th graders. It covers digital citizenship, but the topics are related to our curriculum, but it's not repetitive. So it's not like taking a lesson in the curriculum and repeating it. It's a totally different format with different videos and assets. And the great thing is that there's a back end where teachers get reporting and a lot of information on how their students are doing, learning digital citizenship skills. And we do have this available as an Android app and as for iOS as well, for iPads. So you can download that. I will say that the web version is free. So digitalpassport.org, the web version is free. The apps, there are a fee for the app, so you have to go check into that. We've had really great, I think we have like 300,000 students signed up. It's really amazing, and we've won a couple awards for Digital Passport. So students basically, they complete these different modules, they get badges, and then they earn their passport, and they can take this home, or you can post it on the wall, or put it on your wiki. that kind of thing. So I need to finish up in a couple minutes here, but overall, you know, we've seen a lot of positive benefits with schools and districts who are really taking that whole community approach, implementing digital citizenship for, you know, at the district level all the way down to the family level. And of course, ultimately, we want students to be safe, responsible, and respectful, and engage in 21st century learning. If you're wondering, you know, our reach, we have 150,000 educators signed up to use our resources with, from 70,000 schools worldwide. We also are working with the top districts in the country, LAUSD, New York, and Chicago. And actually, LAUSD just had, last week, their Digital Citizenship Week. Really a lot of fun. They were creating awareness around it, doing events, and each student received a lesson. Each student in LAUSD was taught a lesson. So a lot of cool stuff going on there. Again, we've had, here are just some quotes from people who like what we're doing, and you know, find our resources really helpful, which is what we're aiming for. Now, if you want to continue PD or you want to recommend PD to others, we do have online professional development. We have a whole webinar archive. We have other webinars that we're doing. We have our conference calendar, so you can see where we'll actually be at different conferences. I encourage you to check that out. And let me see if I can put it in the chat box really quick. Hopefully that's the right URL for you to click on. And we do have an online curriculum training. So this is an hour-long online training. You can take at your own pace, and you get a certificate for completing it. It really, it's a lot of what I covered today, but it's more specified to grade level. And if you are super excited and interested and want to do more, consider our certification program. So we have a certified program for digital citizenship, whether it's by teacher or by school, that you can apply to and be part of that community and really celebrate the work that you're doing around digital citizenship. And then finally, I mentioned we have a variety of education programs. This just lists them all out, ranging from, I mentioned Digital Passport. One-to-One Essentials is a program for schools doing one-to-one programs that helps them plan and how to plan and build a culture around one-to-one. Our Educate Families program, if you do family education, everything is provided that you need to do for a parent night, seriously. You know, handouts, discussion guides, videos, slides, check that out. And then in the next session, actually the 9 o'clock session in 15 minutes, that's why I need to go soon, is I'm going to be talking about Graphite, which we're really excited about. And it's basically a free platform that helps you discover and use and share great apps, websites, and games for learning. So you can join that if you'd like, which is the next session. And here's my contact information. Please feel free to reach out to me directly. Follow me on Twitter. And again, there's our website at the bottom. So I'll leave that up for a minute. So I do apologize, I didn't leave a lot of time for questions. So if you do have a question, please feel free to you know, hit me up on Twitter or contact me directly. I'd be happy to help you out as much as I can, because I do have to leave to get to the next session. So lastly, I need to stop recording, and I'm going to ask you all to actually leave the room so that the recording can process. So I'm going to stop recording here. So thank you everyone for attending, and continue on the great sessions today at School Leadership Summit.